The AutoMesh panel is opened using the Mesh menu. For this example, all surfaces are selected using the Extended Entity selection. The element size is changed to 5 for the mesh. The toggle is clicked to change the value to LMs to current comp to have the mesh created in the current component. A preview of the mesh is created on the surfaces. The default mesh generation is accepted by clicking Return. Though the mesh quality looks good, the mesh is deleted to create a new mesh on the model using different methods. For this example, a single surface is selected on the model. A preview of the mesh is generated on the surface. The view of the meshed surface is fit to the window to edit the mesh. The edge selector is activated for the Adjust function. The edge density is adjusted using the number on the edge and clicking the left mouse button to raise the number and the right mouse button to lower the number. The element density value is set to adjust the edge densities. The edge is selected to adjust the density of the elements. The element density can now be set on all edges using the Set All To button. With the edge density set, the mesh preview is generated. The element size value is updated to 7 to change the density of the elements along the edges. The edge selector is activated for Calculate and an edge is selected on the model. A preview of the mesh is then generated on the model. The new mesh shows the elements along the top edge with a size as close to 7 as possible. The Recalc All button is used to set the density of all edges using an element size of 7. A preview is generated of the new mesh. The mesh is previewed with the new edge densities and the approximate element size of 7. The element size will be returned to the original size of 5. The density for all the edges is recalculated to set the density. The preview of the mesh is generated for the new densities. The panel is exited, accepting the mesh on the surface. A second surface is selected on the model to generate a mesh. The preview is generated for the mesh on the surface. The view is set to the front plane to more easily view the surface. For this example, the Check subpanel will be used to check the mesh. The Aspect Check is used to check for elements with an aspect ratio greater than 5. The status bar shows that the maximum aspect ratio is equal to 1.75. The value for the Jacobian is changed to 0.8. The Jacobian check is run to perform a check for elements with a Jacobian of less than 0.8. The message in the status bar indicates that the minimum Jacobian is 0.74. The elements that fail are highlighted in red. The value is changed back to 0.7. The Jacobian check is run to check for elements with a Jacobian value less than 0.7. The minimum angle check is run to find any elements with a minimum angle of less than 45 degrees. The status bar shows that the minimum angle is 46.46 degrees. The max angle check is used to check for maximum angles greater than 135 degrees. The status bar states that the maximum angle found is 136.58 degrees. With the checks complete, the Mesh Style subpanel is opened. The switch is clicked to see the options for Mesh Method. For this example, the Map as Rectangle option is selected from the list. The Set All option is used to set all surfaces to map as rectangle. A new preview of the mesh is generated to see the changes. The Check subpanel is used to check the new mesh. The Aspect Check is used to check the new mesh. The status bar states that the maximum aspect ratio is 1.95. Now the Jacobian check is run. The status bar states that the minimum Jacobian is 0.66. The Mesh Style subpanel is opened again to adjust the mesh. The Mesh Method switch is clicked to open the list of options. The free unmapped option is selected from the available list. Set All is used to set all the surfaces to free unmapped. A preview of the new mesh is generated. The panel is exited to accept the mesh. The model view is set to the ISO view in the graphics area. The Unmeshed button is used to select the unmeshed surfaces. A preview of the mesh is generated for the unmeshed surfaces. The Mesh Style subpanel is opened to edit the mesh. The Toggle Surf option is activated to toggle the mesh style of the selected surfaces on the model. The icon on the surface is clicked to change it. The icon on a second surface is clicked to change it. A preview of the new mesh is created. The Biasing subpanel is opened to edit the biasing on the mesh. The bias number on the edge is clicked to adjust the biasing. The left mouse button raises the number, and the right mouse button decreases the number. The new mesh is previewed to review the change in the biasing. The intensity value is changed to 10. The edge is selected to update the value. The mesh is previewed to review the updated values. Notice the biasing towards the bottom edge. The Bias Style switch is clicked to open the list of options. The Bell Curve option is selected from the list of available options. The icon on the edge is clicked to change the value to Bell Curve. The mesh is previewed with the Bell Curve option turned on. Notice the mesh has changed to a bell curve distribution along the edge around the midpoint of the edge. Exit the panel to accept the mesh. The toggle is clicked to change the value to automatic. The surfaces to remesh are selected on the model. The element size is changed to 10 for the selected surfaces. The Mesh button is clicked to create the mesh. Since automatic was selected, the mesh is accepted without entering the density panel. The mesh is created using the default criteria in the panel. Exit the panel to complete the mesh creation.